It is a beautiful day for a fantasy football draft. We may actually hop in a $500 draft on Underdog right now. Obviously, a ton of different tournaments. You got the $15 marathon, $10 eliminator, $5 super flex puppy, $10 weekly winners, $25 best ball mania. We may end up going back to one of those, but I'm going to see how close the $500 big dog is to fill. We're going to hop in, see how many slots that we need to fill. And okay, 10 empty slots. Okay, so there's no way that's going to happen this live stream. We will leave. Hopefully we can get a big dog draft going before we leave for France. So just make sure you're coming out if you want to take $500 from this fish. Instead, for now, we will be hopping into another Best Ball Mania, filling incredibly fast, $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $1.5 million for first, 128,000 entrants already. Let's go ahead. Let's get in here and let's send up a prayer that we get anything but pick 9 or 10. We're at pick 6. Let's freaking go. We're going to get a top receiver here. You could make the argument to go with the running back like Bijan or Brees, but based off the running back values that I really like later in this draft, I just personally feel a little more comfortable getting ourselves an elite level wide receiver in at 6. But we have somebody who has come out of retirement in this draft with us. We have Scissors in here at 8. Nice to see you, my friend. Hope that you are doing well. It looks like Terry Green in here, pick 9. JRV in here, pick 11. And let me know if you are out here with us. But excited to draft against Scissors. This should be our first time of the year. And Dennis in here with us at pick 12. Welcome, my friend. Thank you so much for drafting with us. And we got Joey out with the new profile pick. We got Luke out here, long time member of the flock. Baby Dragon says, Mason, how do you know Scissors? Scissors has been drafting with us and crushing us for years, my friend. So let's go ahead. Let's see what happens. NASA fanboy, something like that. Yeah, NSA fanboy on the clock at 1. Alex faded on the clock at 2. CMC Lamb off the board looks like a super standard start, right? This way you're going to see in the vast majority of leagues. Benny says, how fast does Best Ball Mania fill? Usually, Best Ball Mania is live until the start of the season. And I think Underdog, as you're already seeing, they're going to continue to do a million different tournaments. And maybe Best Ball Mania feels a little bit slower than what it has so far just because they have so many different tournament options for people to draft in. But as it looks right now, Best Ball Mania is filling so damn fast. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take a Modern St. Brown at 6. And we are going to just put ourselves in an easier spot where if we really like the running back values later on, we can go with them. Scissors says, wait. I swear to God, I joined a draft before I even saw your live noti. Well, my guy, happy to draft with you for the first time this year. How many best ball drafts have you gotten in? I think my personal plan was the only draft on the live stream this year, or at least only draft Best Ball Mania teams on the live stream. But with how fast it's filling, I may have to start doing some of these off the stream as well. Okay, but Bijan goes at 7. We assume Scissors is going to go Brees here at 8. Let's see what he does. Yeah, Brees at 8. So this is the most standard draft board you're going to see. Every single person so far has just gone off ADP. Pick 9, you see A.J. Brown instead of Puka. Maybe that's a little bit of a mix-up. Scissors already at like 40 Best Ball Mania drafts. Okay, my friend, let me see what I'm at. Looks like you're on a much better pace to actually fill it out to me. Okay, it looks like I need to update my app, so let me do that real quick. Henry says pick 3, not off ADP. You're right. Yeah, we do see Chase go ahead of Tyreek there at pick 3. My fault. And I understand some people are worried about the matchups that you're going to have for Tyreek, specifically for week 17. And I know obviously you have the Tua cold weather narrative pretty damn strong. But personally, I mean, going through and building out our draft guide and building out these player profiles, I'm not going to be overreacting to the Miami cold weather narrative that you're going to have for the end of the season, scheduled matchup narratives that you're going to have for the end of the year. Tyreek Hill has been so damn good over the past 3 seasons. It doesn't matter what metric you look at. He's been in a completely different tier than Jamar Chase. Unless Higgins gets dealt, I think I'm pretty safely still going to go Tyreek over Chase. Well, let me see how many drafts I've done. Just looking at the 2024 season contest, we're at 39. If you add in the sprint, we're at 42. Add in an eliminator, we're at 43. Add in a puppy but super flex, we're at 44. To add in the marathon, we're at 45. And I think we've done 43 of them on the live stream, and we did 2 of them for videos. Yeah, we got in a super flex draft 2 days ago, my friend. Okay, Ayuk goes 17. Let's move this over. Let's see what the team right before us does. They took Bijan Robinson. So maybe they're not inclined to go Saquon Barkley here. Maybe instead they go receiver, pushing Barkley down to us at 19. Because we went Amon-Ra St. Brown round 1, I do think we have the flexibility to take Barkley if he does fall. If he doesn't, we may end up mixing some things up here. Let's see what happens. Barkley does go. That team may be on auto. They take it down to the very last second, and they just take whoever's at the top spot in ADP in both their selections. Here it's a little bit of a tough decision with who we want to go with. I think we're going to mix in Mike Evans. Going back and talking about these round 2 receivers, whether it's Ayuk, Evans, Debo, Adams, Waddle, they're all about the same. I think the range of outcomes is very similar. The reason we're going to go Mike Evans here at 19 is if you look at the way that ADP lines up, you're going to be in a situation in which you could end up seeing a ton of Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devontae Adams builds, a ton of St. Brown, Debo builds, where I think Evans has a similar range of outcomes as those other guys. And I think you potentially have fewer St. Brown Evans teams. So I don't think Mike Evans is that much better than Devontae Adams. I don't think he's that much better than Jalen Waddle, that much better than Nico Collins. Other drafts, you'll see me, hell, if I'm at like the very beginning of round 2 and I want to mix in a receiver, I may take Nico Collins there instead. But just trying to mix it up, balance our exposures, and have a little bit of more of a unique team. Okay. Henry says, was fun getting Evans round 6 last year. Yeah, it feels tough to pay the Mike Evans price, and I didn't think I was going to be doing it very often until you dive into what Evans has done over the past few seasons. And even though he is obviously significantly cheaper last season, it's still hard to go out there and say that this is someone that you shouldn't pay up to get at pick 19 or it really anywhere. Hayden, I'm definitely mixing in the Niners receivers. Obviously, you have a downside, you have upside with them, but I think it does make sense, especially if you're going to get Deebo Samuel at like 26 based off some uncertainty you have in San Francisco. That team at 2 has an incredibly unique start with Lamb, Adams, Deebo out the gate. Adams, Deebo, both are pretty much locked and loaded mid-round 2 selections. So yeah, that team at 2 probably is the best build in this draft, or the most unique build, that is. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take DJ Moore. I think Kyren Williams is getting to the point where he's 100% interesting. And if you wanted to go Kyren Williams over DJ Moore, I'm not going to fault you at all for doing so. It's just going back to what we were talking about previously. I really do like my teams when you go 3 wide receivers out the gate, just because I know how much I'm going to like running back values over the next few rounds. So going DJ Moore, I think, gives us a better shot to take said running back values. But if you wanted to go Kyren Williams, not going to fault you in the slightest. And yeah, that team right after us, I don't know if that was another auto pick, but they have 3 running backs out the gate now with Bijan, Barkley, and Kyren. And all of the guys that they have taken have been best according to ADP. So they may essentially be on auto here. I know Scissors likes him some. Metcalf goes Metcalf at 32. And real quick, just in case you don't know what's going on, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. This is what we do every single night. This is what I've done every single day for years and years and years. They're best ball, so no time commitment at all during the season. That's how I've drafted hundreds of teams every year. That's how we won 150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And yeah, if you want to hop in a draft with us, you can find that link in the description, comment section, live chat. If you use code FLOCK when you sign up for Underdog, you are going to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $250 on a new account. Plus, you're going to be getting a special pick'em, something like Luka Doncic, more than less than half a total point. The player is going to depend on the day that you sign up with code FLOCK, but you will get one of those. And with code FLOCK, you'll get our 2024 rankings and draft guide. And with code FLOCK, it is available in damn near every state. You can see the map there. I'm almost certain it is in the state that you are in. But Lamar goes off the board at 37 to the team that goes Flowers Lamar. Not going to fault them for doing that at all, right? I mean, you'll see myself mix in a lot around for Lamar Jackson. Hell, I was looking at potentially going with Lamar at pick 43 so we can try to get Andrews on the way back around at 54. Adrian says, let's see how Team 7 builds. I am interested to see what Team 7 does, but at the same time, they may just be on auto draft. They've taken it down to like the very last second every time. They've taken whoever's highest according to ADP every single time. If you go 3 running backs out the gate like that, one, it's never really worked on Underdog. 2, if you go with 3 running backs out the gate, you really need to go slim at RB. A lot of people would make the argument that you only take a total of 4 running backs. And if you do only take 4 running backs, you can kind of take that 4th guy whenever you want. If you're going to take 5, you really can't take your 4th and 5th running backs until really late just because you're playing catch up at receiver at this point. But he's taking this down to the very last second. So he may be on auto getting Kelsey. I hope not because I want Kelsey. And yes, he goes Travis Kelsey here. So we're going to mix in Tank Dell. I personally am going to be drafting way more Stephon Diggs than Tank Dell if Dell continues to rise up. I've seen Dell go a lot in late round 3. I've seen Stephon Diggs go a lot in mid round 3. Between those prices, I'm definitely going to prefer the Stephon Diggs pick. But here, I think we can mix in Tank Dell when he goes at 43, just because there'll be very few drafts that we're actually able to get him in this range. And yeah, seeing that team at 7, auto Kelsey, we're going to assume that they are autoing Kelsey. The data says if you do not go with at least a single receiver through the first 4 rounds of your Underdog draft, over the past 3 seasons, you've had 0 shot to win. You might as well just throw away your team if you go 0 receivers through the first 4 rounds. So personally, I would have preferred Kelsey over Dell. I would have been really excited about that selection. So I'm a little bit upset that they auto Kelsey because I think Dell would have made a lot more sense for their team. I think Kelsey would have made a lot more sense for ours. Okay. But yeah, and when we take Dell here at 43, it does give us the ability to go CJ Stroud. Now, if we are going to get Stroud, he has to make it past the Stephon Diggs team here at 48, 49, and he has to make it past the Nico Collins team at 51. So it's by no means a guarantee that we are going to get CJ Stroud here at pick 54, but we've gone with enough wide receiver up until this point that we're pretty confident that we're going to get our 5 through the first 8 rounds. We only need 1 more receiver through the next 4 rounds. So I think we can easily mix in a running back, easily mix in a tight end, easily mix in a quarterback. We have that potential elite stack with Dell Stroud. So let's just see if this team at 49 goes Stroud or if the team at 51 goes Stroud. Now the question is, if they both pass on Stroud, plus we get a player that actually, no, we can't. I was going to say, plus we get a player that we really like there at 54. Maybe we go with the said other player and then see if Stroud will make it back around to us at 67 because we wouldn't have to worry about any of the other teams with potential stacks taking him. But the issue with that is that team at 7, if they are on auto, even if Stroud wouldn't make sense for their team, you could still very easily see them just auto drafting CJ Stroud and kind of ruining our plans. So that may not be in play for us. Let's swing this around. T-Man's on the clock. Let's see what these teams decide to do. Definitely way more balanced than what we've been so far. Okay, we have James Cook off 51. Cook wasn't really going to be someone we were looking at 54, so it's good for us. I have plan A, plan B, plan C lined up, so I'm actually pretty excited about what we have here at 54. This team goes Mahomes. Mahomes was plan A for us. So just to let you know, I'm either going to go Dalton Kincaid or CJ Stroud. It's either Kincaid or Stroud. The thing is, we have the potential Goff, Baker, and Caleb stack. If we pass on Kincaid in favor of Stroud, the team right after us is going to auto Kincaid. And I don't know if we want to bully tight end team on auto draft next to us the entire time. If we don't have a tight end already, that is a little bit scary just because tight ends may get soaked up by a single auto draft team in this league where all of a sudden we just simply don't have access to them. So we're going to go ahead. We will take Kincaid at 54. Obviously, it'd be really nice to get CJ Stroud on the way back around. And if that team wasn't on auto right next to us, I would say that there is an okay chance that it may actually happen because 3 of the next teams after us already have their elite level quarterbacks. Plus, the other Houston receivers are on the other side of the draft board, so we don't have to worry about them. But no matter what, the ABC team's most likely just going to go ahead and auto draft CJ Stroud at 66 anyway. Scissors says he wanted Kincaid or Allen. Going ahead and taking Anthony Richardson anyway. Interesting to see the Richardson over Stroud pick. I mean, I understand if you don't have a stack, right? Just because Richardson, you don't have to stack up because of his rushing upside, but it is interesting. Jeremy asking if we do weekly winners drafts. Personally, I don't do weekly winners drafts very often. I'll mix them in every once in a while when we have something new and when we want to just do something different. But I am very bad at weekly winners drafts. Very, very, very bad. So, kind of going to try to pick my spots here. Know our strengths, know our weaknesses. And I know that one of our big time weaknesses is weekly winners. Okay. Now, Pitts off the board at 60. Usually you see the London team go for Pitts, but the London team went for Ridley instead here. Okay, so let's move this around. Jordan Addison off 61. You'll know I take a considerable amount of Addison. What can be in play for us as well at 67 would be Rome, to pair up Rome and DJ Moore and then get Caleb on the way back around. Prodigy says, if someone only does redraft leagues, do you recommend this type of draft? Really interested in trying. 100%. I would go through and I would hop in some of the $5 drafts, especially on Underdog, even if you want to just kind of focus in on your redraft league this year. And that's what's beautiful about these best ball drafts is there's no time commitment at all during the season. So you can hop in a draft and at the end of the day, you're not going to be just screwed and you're not going to be in a spot where you all of a sudden have way too much going on during the season. No, you can still focus in on the redraft league or leagues that you care about. And I would say that if you just do a few best ball drafts, obviously it's going to be a little bit different from a construction perspective, but it should still be some really strong practice for your redraft league this year. Now, this team right before us is possibly going to be auto drafting Joe Mixon. Now, going back to what we were talking about, just making sure you have like a tab on the teams that are on auto draft in your league and seeing if they are going to be soaking up an individual position. It looks like they are soaking up running back, which is fine if we don't need running backs ourselves. Specifically, if we did not have that team on auto draft on the other side of us already with Bijan, Barkley, Kyron, Mixon, I don't think we would take Kamara here. But because we don't have a running back, that other team is on auto, and it looks like, because, I mean, if they weren't on auto, we wouldn't have to worry about them taking another running back in this draft or at the very minimum until the very, very end of the draft, right? But the worst thing is if we put ourselves in a spot where the team next to us takes 6, 7 top running backs, thinning out the running back landscape through the rest of the league, and all of a sudden we're just trying to play catch up at that position through the rest of the draft. I think it could be a really tough spot to be in, specifically because that team's on auto. So we're going to go ahead. We will take Kamara here at 67. Like I said, I think that you could have made an argument to go like Rome. You could have made an argument to go Xavier Worthy. Worthy makes it all the way down to 69 to the Mahomes team. I love that team at 4 now. I think the most interesting team in this league for what they were able to do is that team at 2. To have Lamb, Adams, Debo, to have that 3-player combo out the gate, just very few teams in the overall field are going to be able to do that. April, happy to see you. And let's see. RM Cover says team 2 is cooking. I don't love the JSN pick from them at 71. Feels like a little bit of a weird selection, but I don't know. I would say in general, yeah, at least the start that team 2 had for the first 5 rounds, probably my favorite team in this draft. And this is Best Ball Mania. Hopkins goes 72. Evan Ingram off the board, 73. So that team had a couple different options at 1. They could have gone with Brian Thomas to pair up Kirk, Brian Thomas, but I guess they are fine just with the Kirk, Evan Ingram pairing instead. Let's move this over. Boo, 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 boo. This is the team at 2 that had the very unique start out the gate. They go Jake Ferguson at 74. So now they have Ferguson paired up with Lamb. We can assume that they're going to go ahead. They're going to target the Dak stack later on. It's interesting. I would have possibly just assumed that they would have just taken Kyler Murray. Montgomery goes 76. So going back to what we were talking about previously, once we identified that that team was just soaking up the elite level running backs on auto, it is kind of a tough spot at that point, not for us to reach on Alvin Kamara in favor of some of the receivers that I would typically prefer. But now at this point, I think we're going to go receiver. You can make a couple different arguments. You can say take Ladd here. You still need some quarterbacks, and we can set ourselves up with a Herbert stack later on. You could say we've already kind of gone in on Buffalo with Dalton Kincaid, so might as well go ahead and double dip with Keon Coleman here. So I think you can make an argument for either one of these receivers. I definitely think based off construction that these would be the 2 guys that we're looking at. If we had a quarterback already, I think we would go Keon, but specifically because we don't have a quarterback, we need to give ourselves the options to go Justin Herbert a little later on. We will go ahead and we'll take Ladd McConkey here at 78. But it makes me feel better about our Kamara selection. We should get a running back on the way back around almost regardless. What's going to suck, let me just go through and see. What is the Dak ADP? Dak's ADP is 91, so looks like that team at 7 on the way back around. It's not guaranteed to auto draft Dak. I was going to say it would suck for that team at 2 to get a Dak auto pick. Okay, Kevin says I picked 6 in a redraft league. Do you still like receivers over the elite level RB? Amon-Ra, Jefferson over Brees and Bijan. If it is a full PBR 12-team league where you can start up to 4 receivers, I think you can 100% go St. Brown, Jefferson over Brees, Bijan. If it was a start 2 receiver 1 flex format, I would be going with the running back instead. But because it's full PPR and you can start up to 4 receivers, I think you can go ahead and you can take the receiver. I mean, honestly, it is just kind of going to be up to you there and your familiarity with your league and how you know your league mates draft. Okay. Let's move this over. Zamir White off the board at 82. Honestly, that team at 7, if for whatever, like if they would have gone just with 1 receiver instead of where they took a running back, they got some great values. Like Keon 79's great value, Mixon 66. Like if we would have taken Kyron Williams instead of DJ Moore, and then they would have been auto drafting DJ Moore there in round 3. And then all of a sudden at running back, they had Bijan, Barkley, Mixon. Receiver, they had DJ Moore, Keenan, Keon. And they had the elite level tight end in Kelsey. That auto draft team could have been pretty exciting. Interesting to see the team at 84 decide to go with an unstacked Kyler. Not going to blame them at all. Actually, no, they had Harris. They have Harrison. I'm an idiot. Sorry. Okay. Let's move this over. Ramondre Stevenson has been falling a considerable amount in these drafts, and there is a shot that Ramondre gets autoed here at 90. See what Scissors decides to do. He goes Rice. Ramondre Stevenson should be the auto pick, which sucks for us because Ramondre Stevenson would make so much sense here. I guess now we're probably going to be, this is just so much worse. If we would get Ramondre, oh my gosh, this would be a beautiful spot. But spam the chat. Who do you want? I don't think Dak or Love makes sense for us. I'm not going to take Mostert here. Would you rather have, I'm not going to take Sutton. Would you rather have Zach Moss, James Conner, or Tony Pollard? Please spam the chat. What do you want? Moss, Conner. Moss, Conner. Looks like most people maybe want Conner. Conner, Moss, Pollard, Conner, Moss. Looks split. Looks like there's a slight preference for people wanting James Conner here, which we will go James Conner. And then we are going to assume that the team at 2 ends up getting Dak. The team at 92 gets them set up with a potential Packers double stack with Josh Jacobs, Christian Watson, Jordan Love. Yeah, Pollard off the board, 93. Let's see how far Zach Moss falls. Moss goes 94 to the Burrow team, and then Dak off the board at 95. See, I'm sure that team at 2 was sweating to get Dak once you go Ferguson there at 74, but it works out. John says, do we think Conner holds the job all season if healthy? I think it is a possibility. If they did not select Trey Benson, James Conner would probably be going next to where Joe Mixon is. I think James Conner would probably be going 2 rounds earlier if it wasn't for Benson being there, which I don't know if we're getting a big enough discount, to be honest with you. Beluga says, John Conner doubting his cousin. Yeah, my friend, you tell me. John Conner asking us about James Conner. I think that you should probably have a little more insight there, my friend. Okay, so let's move this over. I think this could be a very interesting setup depending on what happens in the next 2 picks. Roll Irish goes David Njoku, so never mind. Dobbs off the board. We can go Caleb here and pair up Caleb and DJ Moore. Caleb has rushing upside. I haven't taken a ton of Caleb because obviously this is a very expensive price for a rookie quarterback to be taking him over someone where we've seen the success before such as Brock Purdy. The thing is, there's no shot Caleb makes it back around to us. The team after us would auto him. And if you are looking at Caleb, he has rushing upside. His weapons are going really high in these drafts. DJ Moore's a 3rd round pick. Keenan Allen's a 5th round pick. Rome's a 6th round pick. DeAndre Swift's a 7th round pick. Cole Kmet's going to get selected in a decent range. So to look at Caleb, if he is going to be some like massive bust here at 102, one, he has to really disappoint from a rushing perspective. And 2, DJ Moore is probably also going to disappoint. And we already drafted DJ Moore, so we're kind of already committed. Okay, so let's move this around. The team after us auto drafts Lockett, which is perfect for them. We're keeping that team alive by going Caleb. The Goodfellow says Hard Knocks is going to be the Bears this year too. Their ADPs will continue to rise. Interesting point, my friend. A.D. Mitchell off the board, 109. Let's move this back around. What's interesting about Purdy falling as much as he does is there's like a Debo, there's an Ayuk, there's a Kittle team, there's a CMC team. There are 4 potential teams in almost every draft that could take Brock Purdy. And it seems like he is still a really good value in these drafts. Yeah, he doesn't really have much rushing upside, but I mean, last year, 31 passing touchdowns in his first full season starting. Okay, Myers goes 112. Running backs definitely in play for us for a couple different. What's the report on Chubb? No timetable for practice return. Not good. This is going to have him continue to fall in ADP, and I've taken Nick Chubb before, so I quite often, so it's bad for us. Chubb said Wednesday that he doesn't have a timeline for returning to practice. Chubb had surgery September 29th to address an MCL tear, and then another procedure November 14th to repair his ACL. The injuries suffered week 2 last season also included damage to his meniscus and medial capsule, further adding to the difficulty of rehabbing a severe left knee for the second time. He tore 3 ligaments in the same knee while playing at Georgia in October 2015, though in that case, his ACL remained intact. Chubb seems unlikely to be ready for the start of training camp and may also miss the start of the regular season. So just to have that report on Underdog, I'm telling you right now, he is going to continue to fall. Because every time someone goes to potentially draft Nick Chubb, they're going to have to read that. And yeah, they're going to have to actively make that decision. But let's go ahead. Let's take Brian Robinson. We really needed a running back here. Going back to what we were talking about previously, just monitoring what you have with the team at pick 7. They're on auto. They've autoed Bijan, Barkley, Kyron, Mixon, Ramadre. So they already have significantly more invested into the running back position than what you've seen pretty much in any other typical Underdog draft. Then on top of it, they auto draft Javonte Williams. So what I think we're probably going to see in this draft is I think we're going to see running backs later on get pushed up, which is bad for us, obviously, when we don't go with the running back out the gate. And if we would have known for a fact that they were on auto draft after the first 2 rounds, I probably would have gone RB in round 3. Just because the issue is they already have 6 RBs and they can continue to get auto drafted more. They get auto to 7th running back. It's going to be tough. Corey says the auto team's winning this. We'll see, my friend. We'll see. Okay. Zeke goes 119. Chase Brown off 118. Purdy continues to fall. Oh my gosh. What is going on with Purdy here? Purdy 108 ADP. We're on 121. This team had CMC. They go with Lawrence instead of Purdy. I mean, they had Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, so it makes sense somewhat there for them. This team had Deebo Samuel, and they passed on Purdy in favor of Ezekiel Elliott. Where's the Ayuk team? I think Scissors maybe taken. Yeah, Scissors took Ayuk. He passed on Purdy in favor of Shaheed. What are you doing, my guy? Purdy's going to get auto to this team at 7 now, unless the Deebo team takes him. The Deebo team passed on Purdy in favor of Rico Dowdle. They went with their 5th Dallas Cowboy. My friend, you burn your start. You got lucky enough to go Lamb, Adams, Deebo out the gate. And then you take 5 Cowboys on the same roster. Brock Purdy off 125 with no stack. You assume that they target Ricky later on. We're going to monopolize the backfield in Washington. We're going to go Brian Robinson 115, Austin Eckler 126. And yeah, reiterating what we were talking about previously, you're going to see that team after us continue to stockpile RB. They potentially are about to auto draft Nick Chubb and add their 7th running back to a team that has gone so heavy in on the running back position already that this draft room's about to get a little nuts. So I'm honestly really happy that we get Eckler there, 126. So now our running back room is old man heaven. It's the retirement home, but hopefully we get some touches. We have Kamara, James Conner, Brian Robinson, and Austin Eckler. So we have 4 RBs. We just need 2 more running backs for our roster. Okay. David says, has Underdog ever considered instead of doing top ADP for auto drafts, they could do like a lottery pick? The issue for that, and of course, I have no idea. I'm not making decisions for Underdog, but if I'm going through and putting myself in their shoes and why you wouldn't do that, is say I'm drafting a team and oh crap, I got to go take my kid to T-ball and I got to drive for 5 minutes and I missed 2 rounds of my draft. And all of a sudden in round 2, instead of them going with the best player available according to ADP, instead of them going Saquon Barkley, instead they give me Tank Bigsby, I would be so pissed that I may never play again. You know? So, yeah, I don't think you could just give an auto draft team a random play rather than top ADP. I think you kind of have to. Steven says the kid's walking a T-ball. Good point, my friend. Good point. Lee, the good fellow says Purdy averaged 19.6 points last year, same as Mahomes. If you actually look at Mahomes' production last year from a fantasy perspective, not great. Like, not someone we want to be using as the baseline. Now, what sucks for us is Justin Herbert would be a beautiful selection at 139. We took Ladd. I think Herbert's great value in this range anyway, but the team before is going to auto draft Herbert. Nothing we can do about it. And we need to just figure out what else we are doing. But because they have 7 running backs, and I want to reiterate, I think running backs are going to be at a premium in this draft and harder to come by. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Zach Charbonnet at 139. And yeah, the team right after us that took Brock Purdy, they go ahead and they take Sticky Ricky here at 140. But yeah, considering what's happened in this draft room, I actually really like our team. So now receiver, we have St. Brown, Evans, DJ Moore, Tank Dell, Ladd McConkey. Tight end, we have Kincaid. Running back, we have Kamara, Connor, Brian Robinson, Eckler, Charbonnet. Quarterback, we have Caleb stacked up with a Mr. DJ Moore. Okay, so we have the tight ends going after with Hawkinson, Frymuth, Marshawn Lloyd off the board, 143. Darnell Mooney. Steven says, I wonder what the most running backs on a Best Ball Mania draft was. I think they've been 5 RBs, maybe 6 RBs. Yeah. So far, a 7 RB build has not won Best Ball Mania. I think it is possible to win Best Ball Mania with a 7 RB build, but it would have to be a situation in which like you don't take your first running back till after round 8. Like you can't go 7 RBs when you go with those 7 guys before round 11 or before round 10, whenever it is. David says it's a major piss off because you can't play the draft board. It's like playing poker against someone who is drunk and doesn't know how to play. It just ruins the game. I get the analogy, but I would make the argument both in poker as well as this situation. While there are drawbacks and it's annoying, like it's annoying that we don't get Justin Herbert when we would have wanted him to fall to us. At the same time, we can say, okay, there's a team in our league that's making it a little bit of a weird draft that maybe gives us possibilities that we wouldn't get otherwise. And we're going to get Komet here. Komet's an absolute no-brainer pick. He falls 8 picks past ADP. He completes a double stack for us where we have Caleb, DJ Moore, and Komet now. So, yeah, it's an absolute no-brainer selection. And another thing you have to look at, like the team on auto draft at 7, is they essentially just donate their $25 to league pot, right? So it's annoying. There's some drawbacks. I get where you're coming from, but there are also some positives. And I'd kind of say the same thing. If you sit down and play poker with someone who has no idea what's going on, it's annoying. There may be some drawbacks, but on the flip side of that, I don't know. You can probably win some money from them. Vinny says the regular season winner was 2772. That's very interesting. I would have never guessed. Okay, Rodgers goes 154. Roman Wilson off 155. It's funny, the auto team does get Herbert and Quentin Johnston. This bandit says, I'm not drafting a lot of Komet as a post-draft. Let me go ahead. Let me pull up my exposures with Komet. I don't know if we've been taking him. I mean, he's actually been a really good tight end if you're looking at his market share numbers in Chicago over the past few years. The issue is the offense has been horrendous. Now, obviously, you have Caleb in, so the offense is probably going to be a lot better. But you also have Rome Keenan in, so his target share is probably going to go down dramatically. Yeah, I have Komet in 9% of my leagues, if there's any shot that's going to show that. Yeah, we have Komet in 9%, so we're pretty much just in line with market. And I will say, if we're taking Komet, this is the exact situation in which we want to, where he falls considerably past ADP. And we have the clear double stack for him, DJ Moore, and Caleb. Okay, so Stafford falling considerably. Looks like, I mean, let's see. Scissors probably isn't going to go Stafford. He doesn't have any Rams. So, yeah, the auto team's going to go Stafford. We can go Jermaine. Let's see. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, because we should be able to get a running back that we want on the way back around. We only have 5 receivers, so obviously we need to add some more receivers to this build. Stafford doesn't make any sense for us with our team. Deshaun Watson doesn't make any sense for our team. The quarterbacks that we can be looking at, maybe we throw in like a Baker Mayfield to this team, but let's go ahead. Let's take Jermaine and see if Higgins ends up getting dealt, which if that does happen, then obviously we have a considerable amount of upside. I'll say if Higgins is on the Cincinnati Bengals this year, it's probably not a great pick. But of course, we're trying to turn $25 into $1.5 million. So I'm willing to go down there and take a pick that the median projection may be a little bit lower on. Whereas if a low probability outcome does happen, then we could access a higher ceiling than maybe the other names in this range. Corey says Stafford, Kyron on the auto team. I mean, that auto team's coming for us, hunting us. He is on fire. Connor says, heard you were making a draft guide. How's it coming along and where could we find it? 2 different things. One, yes, we are making a draft guide. It will obviously be uploaded on flockfantasy.com for anybody who's a member of the flock on flockfantasy.com. And 2, if you use code FLOCK on Underdog, you should also get the draft guide if you use code FLOCK on Underdog in a new account in 2024. Even if, say, you go, Mason, well, I used code FLOCK on Underdog 2 years ago, and I haven't gotten jack off. I mean, there we can say, okay, well, just be patient. Let me finish it. And then I have your email, and we will get you both the draft guide for free emailed out, and we'll get you the free access to the site as well. If you use code FLOCK on Underdog, that is. Now, let's swing this around. I have no idea what to do here. Tight end doesn't make that much sense. We could go Jawan. No. We're in a panic pick, Troy Franklin. My hesitation in taking Troy Franklin here is whoever we take, we need to set up a potential pick with their quarterback later on. Actually, oh yeah, we are screwed at quarterback. Baker's already gone. I don't know what I was thinking that we were going to get Baker. Looking at this, the issue with taking Franklin is I know Bo Nix, we can say we get the Franklin Nix stack. I would just be way more comfortable taking Drake May than I would be Bo Nix at the end of this. That's why I somewhat wanted to go Hunter Henry here. But the thing is, when we go with Kincaid in round 5 and Komet in round 13, and we have to take 3 quarterbacks, we probably need to be staying disciplined, and we probably should not go with 3 tight ends. I think we're done at tight ends. So we almost made a big mistake in not counting out the amount of rounds that we have left and taking another tight end. But I don't know. So let's move this over. Roshan off the board. Let's swing this around. So quarterbacks that we could potentially be looking at here. In terms of who stacks with any options we have with this team right this second. Carr with Kamara. Nix with Franklin. And that is it. So what we are probably going to need to do is take a receiver. Oh my gosh, this is so bad. This is so bad. I would love Levis here. The issue is if we go like Demario Douglas to set ourselves up with a Drake May pick, you're telling me we have 3 rookie quarterbacks? There's no way in hell a team with 3 rookie quarterbacks is winning Best Ball Mania. Who's a veteran quarterback that we could be looking at? We could go Daniel Jones. $16, $17, $18. We're going to take Daniel Jones. He has some rushing upside. We will have giants such as Darius Slayton that we can take in round 18. We fumbled at quarterback. Let me look at this draft and see where could we have fixed our quarterback situation. So St. Brown, auto pick round 1. Evans, we want to go receiver. It doesn't matter who we really go with there in round 2. DJ Moore, correct pick in round 3. Tank Dell, feel good about. Kincaid, feel great about. I guess maybe the correct answer is we should have gone Stroud over Kincaid. If we were going to nitpick this team, I think that's specifically at quarterback where the decision probably went off the rails and where we could have gone elsewhere. It would have been great if Herbert would have just made it to us at 139 to pair up with Ladd, but the auto team took him. We had to go Komet there at 150. It made too much sense. So it would have been great if Baker made it down to us at 163. But I don't know. Tough spot at quarterback. And yes, if you have not done so already, hit the like button. And we tried to get into a $500 draft previously, but it's just not close to filling. So it is what it is. Thinking about what we should have done, we possibly should have just gone with Douglas and Drake May and leave a quarterback unstacked. Would I rather have the stack with Daniel Jones than stack Bo Nix and Troy Franklin? Or would I rather just take Drake May and Demario Douglas? I'd probably rather have May and Demario Douglas. The issue is, one, Demario Douglas is off the board, so that plan's out the window. Yeah, the thing is, if you whiff on quarterbacks and you don't have a potential stack here, what we could always do as well is we could always say, F it, let's take Justin Fields. And if somehow he does start and he gives us the rushing upside we need in weeks 15, 16, 17, nobody in this range has the same ceiling. We're going to do it. Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me. Don't want to talk about it. We're going to take Justin Fields here at 198. We're going to say, yes, Russell Wilson's most likely the starter. But if somehow Fields gets in there, at least we have upside. It's a $25 buy and $1.5 million prize pool. I'm sorry, $15 million prize pool, $1.5 million for first. We're shooting for the ceiling. And then we're most likely going to go Darius Slayton here with a last pick to pair up with Daniel Jones. I don't really care about having an unstacked Justin Fields, just because the only thing that we're betting on with Fields is he has rushing upside. Yeah, I would assume we already hit 300 likes in the live stream. How far are we away from hitting 300? If you want another draft, please go down there. Drop a like on the stream, ladies and gentlemen. Because if we hit our round 18 pick, I'm just going to be bouncing immediately. Augustus says, Ultimate Circle of Life. Fields wins Mason Best Ball Mania 5. I will tell you right now, if Justin Fields wins us the $1.5 million, I'm not going to get a Justin Fields tattoo. That's a little crazy. But I will get a Justin Fields jersey. I'll put it in the backdrop of every single video. And I will be a Justin Fields fanboy for the rest of my life. Okay, it looks like we hit 300. We are already queued up Darius Slayton. Let me queue up some other receivers just in case that doesn't work. Bam. We have some guys queued up. Now, we have Jalen pair up with a Mr. Evans, Chark to pair up with Ladd, Odell because I like him in this range, and Josh Reynolds because I like him in this range, and he pairs up with Franklin. Okay, we're going to go ahead. We're probably just going to hop into another Best Ball Mania. We're about to go on vacation. Best Ball Mania is filling at a ridiculous rate, so we need to get in as many drafts as we can. So let's go ahead and let's hop in here. 9 slots open in this draft for anybody who wants to draft with us. Pick 8. They tried to give me pick 9. They tried their best. But instead, Scissors got the crap pick at 10. Cade got a pretty bad pick at 9. JRV in here with us at pick 4. Vinny in here with us at pick 7. Let me know if you were in here, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, HBKK. I saw you in here at 9, my guy. Scott, we're going to go to Nice, France in 4 days. I'm going to be flying out the 9th. I don't know what time I fly out. Maybe we can do a live stream that morning. But I have an Ironman in Nice. We're going to be gone from the 9th. We're in Nice from the 10th through the 20th. And then we're in Paris from like the 21st through the 25th or 26th. Don't be upset with me. I have live streamed every single day for years and years and years. This is my first time ever going to a different country. I've been to other countries, but I've been to like Cancun, so it's like America placed in Mexico. So this is like my first time actually going to a different country, and should be fun. And when we get back, we should be full steam ahead with drafts. But CeeDee Lamb makes it down to pick 3 here. Chase goes, Jefferson goes. So before the Jefferson contract, it's funny, we were seeing some people get cute taking Amon-Ra St. Brown over Justin Jefferson. Now you're really not seeing that at all. We're going to go ahead. We are just going to lock in Breece Hall. And, no, we do not want to go on auto. Let's go Breece Hall here at pick 8. I'm about to make a video. I think we're going to update our rankings. And y'all know Hook 'em Horns. I'm a Texas fan. I'm rooting for Bijan. I think I may rank Bijan behind Breece this year. Okay. So let's see. And yes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that we are leaving. I will make a vlog of the trip though. And if it turns out to be a pretty good vlog, I'll put it on this channel. If it turns out to be a whatever vlog, I'll just put it on the Mason Dodd channel. Brad says France is amazing, especially down by the French River. If you have any advice, any restaurants to go to, anything that you think would be worth sharing, please, for the love of God, shoot me a message. Especially if you're on our Discord. If you're in our Discord and you DM Flock Fantasy, that's going to go straight to me. I read every single message in our Discord that's sent to me. So, yes, if you ever want to get a hold of me, shoot me a message there. If you just ask me in Discord, hey, who should I start, Mike Evans or Chris Godwin? I promise you, you're not going to get a response. I probably will see it, but probably will not respond. But let's see. Lee says Scissors is auto drafting. Oh, let's see what Scissors has going on here. Sheldon says Fat Tire Bike Tour Paris. My friend, in the Ironman, I'm going to be riding my bike through Paris for 112 miles. So should get a pretty good view of it. Frank just finished one of the 2-week 8-hour puppies. Brutal, my friend. Kadarius asking how to join the Discord. You can find that link in the description. Olave at 16. We're going to really mix it up here. I understand people are going to hate this pick. I think it's a flat tier. We are trying to go out there and we are trying to get a unique player combo. I would way, and I repeat, way rather have Saquon Barkley. But that's the pain of taking Breece Hall at pick 8. If you go Barkley, it can work for sure. But it's just going to be so hard to make it work later in the draft. So, Sister says, feels like pick 9, 10, 11 has negative flexibility or value. There's nothing worse, my friend. Nothing worse. Okay. Let's see. Vinny says, Snipe, I was going to reach on Waddle if you took Saquon. I think Saquon Amon-Ra is a very fun pairing, my friend. I would rather have the Amon-Ra Saquon start than the Breece Waddle start. So, honestly, if I were you and I went Amon-Ra St. Brown round 1, I'd be super pumped to get Saquon round 2. Lee says he's at 11 and he feels it. I mean, it's just, it's brutal. I think getting a top 6 pick and locking yourself into Tyreek, Lamb, Chase, Jefferson, Amon-Ra, you have so much more flexibility of what you're going to do. So the thing is, once you get to like the beginning of round 2, once Gibbs is off the board, it's like everybody's the same. And I'm sure someone that's smarter than me goes, oh, Mason, that's not true whatsoever. London is 10 times better than Devontae Adams this year for reasons X, Y, and Z, and maybe he is. But in my monkey brain, they all look like they have a similar range of outcomes. The good fellow says, I hear you, but every draft I've done, RB, it ended up looking terrible. So good for you with a Waddle pick. Yeah. Trust me, I've tried to make it work. Okay. Kyron Williams off the board at 28. And it's just like impossible to make a, I don't want to say it's impossible, but it's very difficult this year in particular, where the running back values look better, in my opinion, than receiver values in the middle rounds. To go RB out the gate, then all of a sudden be forced in a spot where you're having to like freaking take Jameson Williams. Achane off 30. I was potentially going to go Achane there at 32. We get Malik Neighbors, which I feel very good about. I haven't taken a ton of Neighbors, but typically is going at the 2-3 turn. Getting me at pick 32, I think, is somewhat of a no-brainer. It would have been an awkward spot if Neighbors would have gone there at 31 and we would have gone Sam Laporta. I think I rank Sam Laporta in a vacuum higher than Malik Neighbors, But the issue in these underdog drafts is you have to pick your poison and take your receivers at some point, right? Like, you're not going to get away from it. You have to take your receivers at some point. So if they're quote unquote overvalued, if they're quote unquote undervalued, it doesn't matter. You have to go get 7, 8, or 9 of them. And you kind of have to pick your spots. So getting Neighbors at 32 makes me feel better about giving us some flexibility here when we approach our pick at 41, 56, and 65. Aaron says, my heart's racing at pick 5. Jefferson, Adams, Metcalf. Good luck, my friend. I will say it doesn't seem like a crazy start. It seems like very doable. Okay. Okay. Allen goes 38. Let's move this over. I assume Cade. Actually, yeah, Cade goes Jalen Hurts. He has A.J. Brown. We're going to take Lamar. I'm sorry. I'm not tough enough to take George Pickens over Lamar Jackson. We're going to take Lamar and set up a prayer that Andrews makes it back around to us. If we would have gone with a receiver in round 1, I think I could have gone Travis Etienne here. And you can make an argument that for reasons X, Y, and Z, maybe you go Pickens. Maybe instead you look to go with Mahomes in round 5. If somehow he makes it 2, he probably doesn't. I think the instance, if we're just trying to go through and think about where each player can make sense for each build, because we're going to have a ton of different starts. We're going to have a ton of different builds in these drafts, of course. I think the instance in which it makes sense to pass on the elite level quarterback here at the beginning of round 4, whether it's Jalen Hurts, whether it's Josh Allen, whether it's Lamar Jackson, the instance where it makes sense to pass on one of those guys in favor of Amari, Pickens, or Travis Etienne is if you went like Stephon Diggs in round 3 and you know that CJ Stroud's going to be in play for you at pick 56. Or maybe you go Michael Pittman in round 3 and you know you really want Anthony Richardson in round 5. And I meant round 5 for CJ Stroud as well. But specifically because we didn't take those receivers, I do think instead we're in a situation where, like, I would not take Stroud if he makes it to us at 56. Richardson would be in play for us. But would I rather have Lamar and like Jaden Reed, or would I rather have George Pickens and Anthony Richardson? I'd probably rather just have Lamar and Jaden Reed. Jordan says you have to at least be 25% Lamar so far this season. I have a lot of Lamar Jackson, my friend. I had a lot of Lamar Jackson last year too. Let me see how much Lamar we have. I have 22% Lamar. He is my most drafted quarterback. Okay, Jacobs finally off the board, 51. If y'all remember, I believe Jacobs was a round 3 pick when Best Ball Mania first launched. Anthony Richardson, McBride. It looks like we are going to get Andrews to make it to us with this Lamar build, which we need a receiver. We only have 2, but I'm sorry. I can't take Xavier Worthy. I can't take Calvin Ridley over Mark Andrews when we have Lamar Jackson. So we're going to go ahead. My favorite stack this year at cost is Lamar in round 4, Andrews in round 5. If you're able to get it, I love it. The issue now with this team is since we didn't go 3 receivers out the gate, we are in the struggle bus right now. Our hand's going to be forced. It almost doesn't matter what values that we see later on. It's almost as if we're going to be forced to go with the wide receiver over the next few rounds. But yeah, super interesting to see that team at 11 get Dalton Kincaid all the way down at 59 for them to pair up with Josh Allen. I love that team at 11, going Wilson, Marvin, Flowers, then Allen and Kincaid. Yeah, Lee, I'm happy for you, my friend. Great team. And going back to what we were talking about previously, the reason we maybe reach on Waddle in favor of Barkley, the reason we may reach on Neighbors, and we reach on Waddle over Barkley, we reach on Neighbors over Henry, is specifically so we set ourselves up in a spot where we don't have to go receiver in rounds 4 and 5, and we can go Lamar and Andrews, which in my mind, I think that they are by far and away the best values there. Scissors steals Jordan Addison from us, my friend. Why did you do that? Now we are in a spot where we are going to take Rome or Godwin. Can y'all spam the chat? Who would you rather have? If Cade takes one of them, we'll just have to take the other. But spam the chat. Would you rather have Rome or Godwin? Right now we're sitting with Lamar, Brees, Waddle, Neighbors, Andrews. And it looks like Godwin goes. So we're taking Rome. Let's see what people were saying. Godwin, Rome, Godwin, 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 Rome, 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 Godwin, Godwin, Rome, Rome. So it did look a little split, maybe a little more in favor of Godwin. We don't have a choice, though. So it looks like we will take Rome here. And yeah, we're going to be heavily in on this year's rookie class. We have 2 guys that were selected in the top 10 in the NFL draft. We have Neighbors. We have Rome. Were they cheap? No. Are they good? Hopefully. And that team that went McBride at 54 goes Kyler at 67. So, I mean, obviously getting McBride there at 54 is great value. I just think you're going to get Kyler at 78 so often. The Harrison teams on the other side of you, you're the team who took McBride. The teams between your picks already have Richardson, Mahomes, CJ Stroud. So, Scissor says, stole Addison because my guy McCarthy has thrown 40 touchdowns this year. I forgot you were a Vikings guy. Seriously, what week do you think McCarthy starts? As a Vikings fan, you probably know more than I do. What week is McCarthy starting this year? Kenneth Walker makes it all the way down to 70. Really like the Kenneth Walker value. I really like what that team at 3's done. Najee at 71's a little early. Okay, Keon 72. Looks like that team at 1 is also set up a double stack for Caleb. So I'm not saying we need to do it, but if we are wanting to potentially go with Caleb a little later on, we're going to have to make sure we're in a spot where we can do so in front of that team at 1 who is DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. Scissor says, my heart wants to say 4, but my brain says like 8. 80 Pruitt says you get him week 3. John says you get him week 1. Dorothy 4 or 5. Adam says week 11 versus Tennessee. Very specific. Okay, so we have a run on receivers here, which I know this is not French, but just to practice my foreign languages, that is no bueno for us because clearly we need a receiver. Evan Ingram off the board at 77. Burrow's not going to be in play for us here at 80. We have Deontay Johnson off 78. The big issue, too, is if we pass on Christian Watson here, the receiver that we will be looking at on the way back around will be Courtland Sutton. But we don't even get that option. Christian Watson goes at 79. So our hand is going to be forced at this point. I'm sorry. I'm not taking Jamison Williams over Alvin Kamara. I understand we need a receiver. We put ourselves in this position. We dug our own grave. But I will go ahead. I will take Alvin Kamara here at pick 80 to pair up with Breece Hall for this running back room. So now running back, we're rolling with Breece and Kamara. Receiver, we have Waddle, Neighbors, Rome. Quarterback, we have Lamar stacked up with Andrews at tight end. Which I love this team so far. And I want to sit here and I want to jump up and down with excitement. I want to say, oh, you suckers, y'all let me get the perfect team, yada, yada, yada. The issue is going to come up with over the next 3 rounds, the wide receivers are disgusting and we need receivers. Frank says, welcome to the wide receiver shady used car lot section. That's what we're having to deal with. Jim Arrange, happy to see us. Says, Puppy Superflex filling too fast. Yeah, it looks like people were dying for the $5 draft. Chell says, on the wife's YouTube account, but longtime watcher, second draft with the flock. Appreciate the content. My friend, I really appreciate you, but I just have to give you a fair warning. And I want to give this fair warning to everybody in the live stream just because I feel like it's the responsible thing to do. I just want y'all to understand how YouTube works. If you log into your wife's YouTube account, if you log into your girlfriend's YouTube account, and you start watching these live streams, obviously it's fine if you're just doing it by yourself. But the issue is going to be the next time that she opens up YouTube, my face is going to be on her screen. And knowing what I know about women, she's probably going to click on it. And then all of a sudden, she's going to look at what a real alpha does during his day, what a real alpha looks like when he is drafting fantasy football teams. And then she's going to look over at you. And I don't know if it's going to be a good look for you. So just a fair warning. I would advise you to don't be throwing me drafting a fantasy football team in front of your wife. That just spells trouble, okay? Let's move this over. Jalen Warren off 87 to scissors. So we are in a spot. Sutton goes 88. I think we go Swift, pair him up with Rome, set ourselves up with the Caleb stack later on. Obviously, we're in a spot that we need a receiver. It's not a secret to anybody. We've said it a million times. But am I going to take Curtis Samuel over DeAndre Swift? There's no way in hell I'm doing that. So we'll go ahead. We'll take Swift. We'll go on the Chicago Bears offense. We'll figure it out. Chell says, ha ha ha, alpha. I should mention last time we drafted together, I won the 12-man. Okay. You can tell your wife that. I'm telling you right now, she's not going to believe you. And she's not going to be impressed. All right. She's going to go, okay, you're really telling me that you beat this guy in y'all's league. She's not going to buy it for a second, my friend. I don't buy it for a second. Okay. Ross Kretz says, don't tell your wife Mason went over 150,000 2 years ago. Oh, for sure. Do not let her know that. Okay. Disbanded Brother says, Mason's girlfriend is sitting next to me right now. Is that what you call your wife, my friend? Your wife's nickname is now Mason's girlfriend? Okay. Interesting. Okay. Let's move this over. We have Javonte off 96. This is beautiful for us. Once we go DeAndre Swift to 89, we have about an 8-pick run of no receivers. Thank God, give me a receiver at 104. Caleb goes 97, so it looks like we're not going to get Caleb for the potential Rome Swift double stack. But Chelsea says, thanks for not blocking me on Caleb. I would have gone Caleb if you didn't, my friend. I don't know what pick we would have gone Caleb with, but Caleb was definitely going to be in play for me. Now to move this over, Mike Williams off the board. It is interesting to see Jordan Love fall this far. Now the thing is, if we were to go Jordan Love at 104, the next pick we would have would be 113. I don't know if we could get Romeo Doubs. If we could guarantee ourselves to go Jordan Love 104 and then get Romeo Doubs on the way back around, I think we would, but Vinny goes Jordan Love regardless. So we're in a much easier situation in which we're just going to go ahead. We're going to take Tyler Lockett here, 104. Lockett's boring. Am I going to sit here and say, oh, Lockett's a league-winning receiver this year? It's not like we know who Lockett. I mean, obviously we know who Lockett is. Lockett's been around forever. He's on the decline. We're just looking for some cheap points at wide receiver, which is kind of what we need here, where we have upside elsewhere. But we just need some cheap veteran production in here at 104. I think we could possibly get it. And yes, my friend, we were looking at Lockett. My conversation was more so like, okay, if Lockett went pick 103 and it was Jordan Love versus Romeo Doubs for us, could we have made an argument to just go ahead and take Jordan Love? HBK says he's liking the team at 3. Let's check out the team at 3. The team at 3 got Lamb. So yeah, Lamb, Evans, Smith, Kirk, Jacobs, Walker. Yeah, I really like, the Brian Thomas pick makes a lot of sense. They get Ferguson at 94 and followed up with, yes, that team at 3 is phenomenal. I think team at 3 is probably the best draft here. Receiver, they have Lamb, Evans, Smith, Kirk, Brian Thomas. So they're setting themselves up with the Jacksonville double stack with Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas, and then later on, Trevor Lawrence. They have the double stack with Dallas and Dak, Lamb, Ferguson. They still have really solid running backs with Jacobs and Kenneth Walker. Yeah, that team at 3 is 100% I don't say 100% the best team in the draft. Way better than my team, I'll say that. So since we titled the perfect fantasy football draft question mark, that's what we titled the stream. We were referring to the team at 3. Okay. B. Morris says, how accurate is the underdog point projection in your opinion? I would not spend a second thinking about the underdog point projection. I would say underdog ADP is going to be the most efficient ADP that you're going to find on any fantasy platform because the most money is drafted on underdog fantasy. But the projections next to the players' names, I do not care about and could not care about. Jaden Daniels goes 111. I would have taken Daniels if you would have made it to us for the rushing upside. Now our options are, we can't go Purdy. We don't have any Niners. Shaheed, Brian Robinson. Who are we going to have on the way back around? I know it's gross. We're going to go Brian Robinson RB4 here. The reason being is looking on the way back around where the receivers will most likely be like Jacoby Myers, Jerry Jeudy, Dontavian Wicks, Brandon Cooks, Josh Downs, Jahan Dotson. I think this range of wide receiver is the same as Shaheed, A.D. Mitchell, Joshua Palmer. Whereas if you're looking at the running backs, I do think after Brian Robinson, you are going to see a little bit of a fall off. John says, but you do care about Vegas pick'ems for season long. Yeah, so if you wanted to look at like underdog projections and try to use them to guide your draft, what I would recommend you doing is going to the pick'ems on underdog and then on the pick'ems actually sliding over because these are real projections that if underdog gets wrong, you can take them up on it, right? So I would say these actually project out probably to be a little more accurate than we're going to see with just the projections next to the player's name in ADP. So yeah, you can see here, Brian Thomas is currently at 5.5 receiving touchdowns for his pick 'em on underdog. And since people can go higher, since people can go lower and put real United States dollars on it, like underdog is very much incentivized to try to get these as accurate as they can, right? So if you were wanting to look at like projections, I would say these are probably going to be the best projections you're going to come by. Like this is one reason I'm so in on Lamar. Lamar, they have at 770.5 rushing yards. So, I mean, that's a big thing. I see that and I go, looks like Lamar projects out to be a really solid option this season. Okay, let's move this over. Let's pull this draft back up. And actually, I feel very good about our Brian Thomas selection because if you're looking at now what you have at receiver, pretty much the entire top of the draft board is wide receiver, whereas the running backs are Ezekiel Elliott, Jerome Ford. I mean, Ford, I'm not going to say is a bad price at all. Or the same thing about Zeke, but I mean, it does kind of go to show that we did hit the running back wall. Okay, Joshua Palmer off 125. Dowdle off 126. Interesting to see Dowdle before Zeke. Dontavian Wicks. So y'all know I'm not a big A.D. Mitchell. Honestly, A.D. Mitchell. I'm not doing it, especially when we already have 2 rookie receivers here. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Jacoby Myers at 128. Myers has had consistent target volume. We need boring veteran receivers here that can just hopefully give us some random usable weeks. We already have the upside with Neighbors and Rome. Let's go ahead and let's take Myers. And of course, side note, yeah, those projections that we were just looking at, those pick'ems, that's also on Underdog Fantasy. If you want to go check out those, you can just go to the pick'em tab, go to NFL season long. And yeah, if you're not already on Underdog and you want to check out those pick'ems or you want to get in a draft with us, we're doing this every single day. Links in the description, links in the live chat, links in the comment section. Code FLOCK, get you a 50% deposit bonus up to $250 on a new account. Plus, we'll get a special NBA pick'em, something like Luka Doncic, more than less than half a total points. And you'll get our 2024 fantasy football rankings, our 2024 draft guide, and Underdog's available in damn near every state. You can see the map there. But let's move this back around. Very interesting to see. Actually, no, never mind. I'm an idiot. I thought Scissors took Anthony Richardson in this draft, but no, Scissors Pro is definitely targeting Anthony Richardson based on what they did previously. If you were looking at his Colts selections, but he does not get Richardson. So I was a little surprised when we saw him pass on A.D. Mitchell, but I guess it makes sense. Especially when you have Daniels there. Yeah, so I was just mixed up with who Scissors had a quarterback. Let's see. A couple different things. Let's see what Scissors does. Goes Josh Downs, 135. Leggett goes. So we're going to take Dalton Schultz, pair up Schultz with Mark Andrews. Not a super big Dalton Schultz guy, but I do think you're going to see the teardrop happen relatively soon at tight ends. If we take Schultz, it puts us in a situation in which we only have to draft 2 tight ends. And I think that may be advantageous because if we wait until like round 17 and 18 to take our next 2 quarterbacks, we may take 3, even though we grab Lamar. Now, I know some people are going to say, oh, okay, well, Mason, you have Andrews and Schultz lined up on the same bye. Don't you want to avoid tight ends on the side? Honestly, what's the lost and expected points? We're going to lose 8 points for weeks 1 through 14. I don't care about that. Really, you are just trying to optimize for weeks 15, 16, 17. Maybe if people are a little bit worried about going with Schultz and Andrews because they have the same bye week. So maybe if you do end up seeing them with lower player combos across the board, I think if anything, you can get a little leverage over the rest of the field and be a little more unique. So I think it helps us from a construction perspective. We saw the teardrop happen at receiver anyway. We didn't need a running back, and no quarterbacks in this range made sense for us. The Pound, happy to see you, my friend. Hope your live stream went well. Bingo Bongo says, Nix is at 17.5 passing touchdowns on the pick'ems. Might have to hit that hard. Feel like Zach Wilson starts a few games, right? If you think Bo Nix does not start the first month of the season, Bo Nix lower than 17.5 passing touchdowns is probably a very good spot to take. That is it. Thank you for pointing that out to me, my friend, because we may make a video going through those relatively soon. I think that is interesting. Now, obviously, we want to see tight ends off the board once we take Dalton Schultz. Just Sherman says, how far would you reach for Penix in a rookie draft? If it was a 1 quarterback league, could care less, not really taking him. If it was a super flex draft, I think the furthest I'd reach for Penix is like 112. Okay, Vidal off 149. Jalen Polk goes 150. If we were to go running back here, it'll be our last running back that we take. And I'm always hesitant to do that in like round 13 because then all of a sudden, we're in a spot where we kind of box ourselves out of potential value if someone falls later on. So we'll just take another boring pick. We'll take Darnell Mooney. Do I think Darnell Mooney's good? No, I do not. We were just going through and looking at his profile for our draft guide that we're writing up. If you look at his yards per route run, this is someone that's just pretty much gotten worse every year over the past 3. The saving grace that you have for Mooney is this will be the best quarterback he's ever played with. Plus, with Darnell Mooney, you can maybe make an argument that the contract indicates he's going to have a large role in this offense. So the contract and the improvement at quarterback would be the reason you're drafting him. But obviously, if he looks anything like how he has over the past few years, he's a horrible pick at 152. Observations, Elias, Falcons playoff schedule so easy. I think it's worth it for that. I don't know if I'm caring too much, to be honest. 49er says you can go up to 8 picks now. Are you going to make an pick 8 NFL season pick'ems? Probably won't make a pick 8, but I'll probably make some NFL season long pick'ems. And maybe we turn it into a video. Maybe we just do it in a live stream. I just need to look at them a little bit more. Okay, so Rodgers could be in play for us because we could take Rodgers, pair him up with Brees, and then look to go Malachi Corley a little later on. Rodgers goes 158, so that's no longer an option. Ty Chandler off the board. Let's see. I think we probably do end up going RB here. Spam the chat if we get the option. Who do you want, Ray Davis or Antonio Gibson? Spam the chat. Who would you rather have here? Gibson, Davis, Ray, Gibby, Davis, Gibson. Gibson. Davis. It looked like it was really close. Let's just go with Ray Davis. Why you'd be in on Davis is James Cook's been, quote unquote, ineffective in the red zone. So maybe you say, oh, okay, Ray Davis comes in. He has a red zone role in a very good offense. And then if anything were to occur to James Cook, then Ray Davis could be a starter. But Adam says 3-spot may win Best Ball Mania. BX Ilds probably butchered that name. There's probably an easy way to pronounce it. Says picking at 3, first time drafting with you and easily one of my favorite drafts. I mean, man, you freaking crushed it. I mean, the Dak double stack with Lamb and Ferguson at values, phenomenal. The Lawrence double stack with Kirk, Brian Thomas at a big value here. Jacobs, Kenneth Walker at massive values. A really good running back room. You get Brandon Cooks at a ridiculous value to pair up with Dak. Yeah, that is when we titled live the perfect draft for this live stream, the perfect draft happened at 3. Okay, let's move this over. Corley off the board. And when we wait this long to get our second quarterback, even though we go Lamar in round 4, there will be a shot in my mind that we can go QB to round this out. So we should have gone. I'm an idiot. Why didn't we go Geno Smith? Actually, I guess kind of makes sense. ADP 174. Maybe we were banking on. We can claim, oh, I was banking on Geno making it back to us. You win some, you lose some. But Geno would have made a lot of sense. We are only quarterback and wide receiver through the rest of this draft. Wide receiver, Wandale is a no-brainer pick. I like Wandale. Plus, it gives us the optionality to go Daniel Jones later on at quarterback, which we do need that option. And we're playing catch-up at wide receiver, right? Our wide receiver room is the weak spot of this team where currently running back, we were sitting with Brees, Kamara, Swift, Brian Robinson, Ray Davis. So pretty strong running back room. Wide receiver, we have Waddle, Malik Neighbors, Rome, Lockett, Myers, Mooney, Wandale. Tight end, we have Andrews and Schultz. We obviously have the Lamar and Andrews stack. So potential quarterbacks we can be looking to take at the very end here. If we were to go around like 17, Daniel Jones, round 18, Gardner Minshew, and mix in a couple of guys that aren't getting drafted, I think it could make sense. Now, obviously, there's a strong argument to be made when you take Lamar round 4 that you potentially don't want to take another quarterback in the rest of the draft, which I completely understand where that argument comes from, and I think people could be right with it. My thought process is if we wait till round 17, I think we can afford to go with 2 QBs around 17 and 18. And if you see Lamar, say, go down for the start of the year, or Lamar misses 6 weeks during the regular season, And then any team that went with a slim build around like Lamar in a week's, just around 17 quarterback, they may not make it to the fantasy football playoff tournament, where we can maybe sneak a Lamar team in if we grab the 2 quarterbacks at the very end and then access the Lamar ceiling at lower ownership in the final 3 weeks. So looking at this, I just hate taking Javon Baker. Will Levis goes. Zay Jones seems like a gross pick. Tez Walker seems gross. I don't want to take any of these receivers here. We're just going to take Daniel Jones and lock him in. And then I think our last receiver will be Gardner Minshew to pair up with Myers. What we could have also done if we wanted to go Drake May is we could have taken Javon Baker and then May. But, we're already sitting here with Ray Davis. We're already sitting here with Rome. We're already sitting here with Neighbors. I don't know if we want to add another pair of rookies. Have almost like 40% of this team be rookies this year. So, I don't know. Let's go Daniel Jones. And then I just want to take a wide receiver that's going to be at low ownership. Kyle says, keeper question, HN in the 8th or Brees in the 2nd? Depends on how many keepers are going to be kept in your league, right? If only one player is kept in your league, then a round 2 pick is essentially a round 3 pick. So it's like, oh, would I rather have Devon Achane and DJ Moore or Brees Hall? And then around 8 picks, more like around 9 picks. So it'd more so be like, would I rather have Christian Watson and Brees Hall, or would I rather have Devon Achane and DJ Moore? If there are multiple keepers in your league, and this is like your 3rd keeper, then it's Brees Hall easily. So I think it kind of depends on that. What I would look to do is I'd look to map out what player pool is going to be going in round 2 versus what player pool is going to be going in round 8 and view it as a trade question. Would I rather have Brees and whoever's going to go in round 8, or would I rather have Achane and whoever's going to go in round 2nd? And if you look at it like that, you honestly may rather just have Brees. Yeah, if it's a 1-player keeper, I think it's a legit question. But if it was like a 5-player keeper, then it'd be so easy. Brees. Just Sherman says, Penix versus a 2025 and a super flex. Probably the 2025 first, just because it would give you way more flexibility. Gabe says, are y'all ready for the new NCAA game? I have not played video games, and I cannot tell you how long, but I may end up buying a video game console, and I may end up buying NCAA just so I can play that. Like, that is the one way you can get me back into video games. Okay. Cargoes. Should we just take Javon Baker and then set ourselves up with Drake May later? F it. Let's do it. Who cares? We'll go Baker. I really haven't taken any of them. I don't really know if he's any good. I doubt it. But I think it does make sense to get the upside of Drake May. And the other guy, if we don't get May, that I think makes sense for this team, we could always go Fields and just go for the rushing upside. And we could always go with Gardner Minshew, as he is not getting drafted, and he does pair up with Myers, so maybe it's a little more of a unique pick. But I think those will be the quarterbacks, but I probably am going to call the live stream here. And of course, if you have not done so already, hit the like, subscribe. We're going to do this every single day. And if you want to hop in and draft with us, you can find that link in the description, comment section, live chat. It's the #1 way to support the channel is using code FLOCK on Underdog. And also, it'll get you our 2024 rankings. It'll get you our 2024 draft guide. It will get you set up with a special pick'em, something like Luka Doncic, more or less than half a total point. And Underdog's available in damn near every state. You can see the map here. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Really do appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day. And really hope we get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow night.